Okie dokie, let's talk about fractures. Okay, if you look at this, you're like, oh yeah, that's gotta hurt. Oh yeah, that's the tibia, fibula. This is not gonna heal with just a cast. This needs plates and screws. This is a spiral fracture. You can see the bone degradation here. This is someone with osteoporosis. So let's dive right into it. So there's different types of fractures. There's in a fracture, the definition of a fracture is a break in the bone. There can be stress fractures, which is a thin break due to increased activity, repetitive loads, let's say running. Traumatic fracture due to excess stress on the bone, maybe you fell, car accident. And then there's pathological fractures, which occur in bone weakened by disease, such as osteoporosis. They're usually named after the amount of soft tissue damage and the direction or the complexity. The most simple way is a simple fracture, which is the broken bone does not penetrate the skin. So that's simple fracture. A compound fracture is when the broken bone penetrates the skin. So let's start with that naming first. Simple versus compound. Then you can go, so a stress fracture is caused by abnormal trauma. Pathological occurs in a weakened state, classified according to the breaking of the skin, the direction. Treatment, you can do closed reduction, non-surgical manipulation, right? So you just get a cast, or you can do surgery where you do an open reduction, surgical setting, plate, screws, or pins. And healing can vary from 2 to 3 months depending on the individual. A closed skin is not broken, formerly called a simple fracture. Open is skin is broken. That used to be called a compound fracture. So you might still see people using simple versus compound or closed versus open. So I just wanted to give both of those scenarios for you, just in case you saw different terminology. Complete, bone is broken into 2 or more pieces. Incomplete, partial fracture. Displaced is it's out of the anatomical alignment. So you remember anatomical alignment. Displace, portions are out of anatomical alignment. So you want to know the difference between non-displaced, so it's still in anatomical alignment, and the displaced is out of anatomical alignment. One thing I want you to know also is greenstick. Bone is bent toward one side, has an incomplete fracture. So if you ever take a branch and you try to break it and it one hangs on the other side, it's called a greenstick fracture. It happens in kids a lot, and the collarbone. Here's pretty much the same. It's just showing you these fractures. Here's a comminuted fracture. Bone is splintered in several small pieces. Here's a transverse fracture, and here's a compression fracture that can happen in the elderly. This is an example of a greenstick fracture, so you can see that it's still hanging on. Again, it's common in kids, a greenstick fracture. Here's some nice fractures. Here's some comminuted. Yeah. So that's not going to heal by itself. So you're going to have to put a plate, some screws, a rod in there to guide the body and say, okay, this is how we want you to heal here. And then osteoblast activity can take over. Obviously, you're going to get hematomas and a callus. And then osteoclast might eat up all the small little parts here. This is not a fracture, but I just thought this was, make sure you don't upset the wife, girlfriend, significant other. That is a knife. That's a butter knife right through the eye. Unfortunately, both of these individuals did pass away. All right, so how did bones heal? That was kind of traumatic, wasn't it? Healing takes a few months or more and occurs in a series of steps. Fracture hematoma forms. So let's say you break your bone. Well, you're going to get a hematoma, right? Blood. Then you're going to get a soft callus. And after that soft callus, you're going to get a hard callus. Sometimes people get a fracture and they go right to the urgent care and they're like, I don't see anything on the x-ray. You're fine. And it's not until the soft callus starts to form that you actually saw, oh yeah, you did have a fracture. Fortunately, if it's that small, there's not much you need. You don't need to cast it. You didn't need to do anything because it was small to begin with. But yeah, sometimes you can miss a small fracture on the X-ray. So that is common. Now, what we want to get used to is are these bone markings. Okay, so we use that as a reference. all of us need to be on the same page. And the reason that these bone markings are important is because a lot of the muscles will attach to these bone markings. Okay, so some of it could be articulating surfaces, some are depressions. So articulating means where is it going to join together? So you have condyles, you have facets, you have the head and the trochlea. So a condyle is large, smooth, rounded oval structure. A facet is a small, flat, shallow surface. The head is a prominent, round epiphyses. The trochlea is a smooth, grooved, pulley-like process. Depressions, just like it sounds, the alveoli is a deep pit. Your teeth are in the alveoli. The fossa, flattened or shallow expression. Sulcus is a groove. Projections for tendon and ligament attachment. You have crests, epicondyles, lines, processes, ramus, spine, trochanter, tubercle, and tuberosity. So you want to know the description, but those are for tendons and ligaments. And then, of course, you have openings and spaces like canals, fissures, foramens, meatus, and sinus. So instead of arbitrarily just thinking, think about what it is actually describing. Okay, so a canal is a passageway through a bone. Think of the Panama Canal. What goes through there? Ships. So what can go through a canal? Optic nerve, nerves, blood vessels, right? Spine is a pointed, slender process. So know the definition and what the purpose is. You'll be able to understand the anatomy a lot better versus pure rote memorization. So if you're looking at these bone markings, here's a trochanter, here's the head, epicondyle, then you have a condyle which is larger. Those are fissures, the ramus, foramens are openings, alveoli, sinus is an opening. Okay. So you have a ramus on the pelvis and you have a ramus on the jaw. So a lot of times you might have multiple things. So you want to say what bone is it go. So if I say medial epicondyle, well, that doesn't really tell me. Are you talking about the humerus? Are you talking about the tibia? But if I say medial epicondyle of the humerus, then I know that, hey, you're talking about up here. So make sure you're specific in not only saying the bone marking or the feature and the bone. Unfortunately, as you get older, you are going to get some degradation, and during age, bone changes in two ways. So you lose the ability to produce organic matrix, so you lose some collagen, but you also lose calcium and other minerals. So you start with osteopenia, which is insufficient ossification, so it starts to break down. Can result in a decrease in bone mass. Later stages called osteoporosis, where you're more prone to fractures. Compression fractures are common in patients with osteoporosis if they fall. For females, it starts during menopause around the age of 55-ish. Right here. For males, you still lose it, but you don't really lose it as rapidly as females. So that's why Caucasian women or Asian women are more susceptible to osteoporosis, and we really encourage weight-bearing exercises such as walking and lifting weights. So here's normal versus osteoporotic bone. You can see nice and healthy, but here's osteoporotic, and you're going to be more susceptible to fractures. Luckily, you live in the United States where you have access to vitamins and minerals, but you can don't know if you've heard of rickets, but that you get abnormal bone degradation, and this is rickets, lack of vitamin D and calcium. And I mentioned acromegaly a while back in the lecture, but here's the great Kali and the big Andre the Giant, and you can see overproduction of osteoblasts from human growth hormone. It's overproduction, and usually they don't live as long. Their heart is, it's too taxing on the heart. But this is a lot of the wrestlers that are huge, 7'6", Triple H. They have acromegaly, which is overproduction of growth hormone, which can also lead to more deposition of osteoblasts, and then you get a bigger frame. Okay. All right. That's it.